Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for turning up to listen to me again. This is an update on where we are with our DCO. It's a reminder to me that the first of these meetings that I attended was in, I think, January of 2016, when we were full of hope, and there was a collective sense of support for the proposed DCO in the following collapse of the old CPO discussions, and how far we've come in that time, really. And a reminder to all of you that we are now well into the first phase of the public examination, and to give you some context, the public examination is a three-stage process, and it is effectively a due diligence, to use the sort of business terminology, on what we have submitted. Their job is to carry out a scrutiny of everything that we have done. Those of you who were present at the Winter Gardens will have heard the inspectors say they don't commission independent evidence, they simply scrutinise what we have submitted, and they look at anything relevant that other parties have submitted. That's their job. And you will have seen from the questions that they've sent out that they have done that, well, they've taken the words due diligence to a real extreme. And we had 177 pages of questions. They had read some parts of our application that I don't think I've read, to be perfectly honest with you. They've read every footnote, every appendix, every table. Amazing what they've done, and I do pay tribute to them. In times when public administration, to some extent, is falling into disrepute in some places, I have to say the integrity of this process has, whilst it's very hard work for us, has really impressed our team. So it's the first stage in effectively a three-part process. The questions which went out have to be answered by the 15th of February. There's then a process of publishing those answers, and allowing for responses to the answers, and then moving on to a set of hearings of which some of you will have been given notice, but I'll just for the avoidance of doubt say that there are going to be two open forum sessions on Monday the 18th of March. I'm now advised at the Oddfellows in Ramsgate, fulfilling the promise that the inspectors gave that there would be a session in Ramsgate. Then on Wednesday, the 20th of March, there is the compulsory acquisition hearing, which will take place at Discovery Park. On Thursday, the 21st of March, there is an issue-specific hearing, as they call it, which relates to need and operations. And then on Friday, the 22nd of March, again at Discovery Park, is a hearing about noise. Once those hearings are out of the way, we then move on to the next stage of the timetable. Just very quickly to remind you where we go from there. So, after the 22nd of March, a revision of the development consent order is issued by the inspectorate. And remember, the development consent order is a thick document which is effectively an act of parliament, a statutory instrument, which contains all the powers that will be conferred on us if we are successful. Their job is to scrutinise the first draft that we put in and to come back with suggestions on how that might be altered. On the 5th of April, they produced the next lot of written questions, and the 3rd of May is the deadline for responding to those questions. So, as you can see, the process is one of narrowing the issues down. So we start with 177 pages of questions. I think the plan is, by the time we get to the next stage, that will be reduced, and then we move on to a final stage, which takes us through into May and June, when there are some further hearings, and those dates for your reference are the 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th of June, venues to be published in advance. Those will be the final hearings when those remaining issues that have not been resolved to the satisfaction of the inspectors have to be dealt with. Then after that, there are a few more bits and pieces that they have to do, and then the examination closes on the 9th of July. As far as we're concerned, we've been flat out answering the questions. I can tell you, I personally have a 10-hour session with our lawyers tomorrow, really looking forward to it, going through all the drafts to all the answers that we've done, and just making sure that we haven't missed anything, picking over the bones of any. There are some disagreements between some of our consultants on the emphasis to be given to certain things, which is important. So just getting all that sorted, that will all be back to the inspector by the 15th, by Friday of this week. As regards the questions, well, I'm not going to say too much, except to say the questions, for those, and I know there are some in this room who've read every single question, they give you an insight into what the inspectors are thinking about and what their concerns are, which is important, and clearly their concerns are issues such as air quality, noise, and the economy, the local economy, which they seem to, quite rightly, I think, attach a great deal of importance. There are a number of other issues as well. And so we've spent our time focusing on producing what we hope are an effective set of answers. And those of you, there are people here I know from the teaching profession, or, well, like all of us who've sat exams. The big test for those questions is when you look at the narrative, and I've had to do this with all our answers, you have to say to the author, have you answered the question? You in some cases, consultants who should be nameless, you've actually written down everything you know on this subject, but you haven't actually answered the question. The question has to be answered very specifically, and that's a final discipline we've got to meet. Just to say a few things about some of the noises off, if I can put it that way. I wanted to take the time today to set one or two records straight. The name Seabourn is, headline news still as we speak today. But there was another Seabourn that some of you will remember, and I know Sir Roger will, with a U in the name. They were the ones who took on the civilian enclave in Manston. This was and still is, a big shipping company founded by Sir Clive Bourne with a U. And it's a major global operation with offices all over the world. It was they who took on the civilian enclave in Manston in the mid-80s and ran it until the late 90s when they sold out to the Wiggins Group. That was a time when they built the passenger terminal. It was a profitable time. It was a time when there were charter flights going in and out of Manston, and it was a time when they were slowly building up the cargo operation. It was also a time, by the way, because they had an interest in that, when they established a very successful travel agency at Manston. Some of you may remember it, Kent International Travel, which in its final year of trading in 2004 had an annual turnover of just over £2 million. So I personally get a bit fed up when I read stuff, and some of it written by people who weren't even here at the time, saying that it was one disaster after another, because it just wasn't. And indeed, there may be people here who were around when the passenger terminal was open. Yes, it's not the biggest passenger terminal in the world, but at the time, it was a major achievement, and it was opened by the Duchess of York with a lot of fanfare and so on. And the Bournes, Clive Bourne was a serious businessman who knew what he was doing, and it was a successful 15 years. I think the other thing I wanted to say was this. Personal attacks on me and colleagues, fine, it's water off a duck's back these days, but the implication is that there were other members of the team in Manston. We're talking over the years about hundreds of people who worked there, who worked very hard and committed themselves to the airport. And there are times when I feel someone needs to speak up on their behalf. When the airport was acquired from the RAF, it was converted successfully into a civilina. That took a huge amount of money, which was money from the Wheaton shareholders. And that transformation in itself was a major achievement, because it was an RAF base and not really suitable for anything other than some charter flights and some cargo flights. That work was overseen by staff, good staff, senior staff. Alistair Robertson, the then airport director, whom some of you will remember, who still has a house in Mansfield Court Road, oversaw a lot of that. A very able and competent man. So, to the extent to which some of these people's reputations are being challenged by people who really ought to know better, I feel is unfair, and I just wanted to make that point today. And finally, to say this, hindsight is a wonderful thing. The Williams Group was a publicly quoted company. It had a quote on the stock exchange. At the time, the big thing was passengers. EasyJet and Ryanair were growing rapidly, and the institutional investors, and the company was held by big investors like Prüm and so on, they wanted passengers. The frustration, not just for me, but for many of us who worked at the airport, was that they could see the potential, even in those days, of cargo. But cargo wasn't seen as sexy. Why haven't you got Ryanair in yet? Come on, and the answer would be, well, they don't pay anything. You can't make any money from Ryanair. You can make money from cargo. Never mind, that was the frustration. And of course, as you know, at the end of the day, the new chief executive came in and did a deal with a low-cost carrier, which was disastrous for the company, for that airline as well. These kinds of things, these decisions get made in public companies. They are the responsibility of those who run the companies. I was involved in the airport, but I wasn't a director of a public company. And these things happen in business. But there is a sort of assumption out there that somehow there's a collective failure which hangs over the place like an aura, and that's why it will never work. And that simply is unfair and not true. Okay, I've got that off my chest.
You're right.
Well, it does. And just for the record, we are now putting together a register of former employees, and as part of our employment policies, we will be recruiting as many former employees as we can, those who are willing and able and still alive. Some of them can be hired as traders or mentors for new staff, but they will have a role and they will be welcomed back. And in a way, 5, 6, 7 years on, it's a way of putting right a wrong that was done in 2014. We feel that's very important.
Can you pass the message on to anybody? Do you know that may be interested? They can contact you directly, or I'll pass the message on.
And that's fine. And then just one last thing to say, and some of you in the room that have been involved in this, we've been working very hard on the education and training programme that we want to introduce to the airport. Meetings have taken place involving the County Council, all the districts, Canterbury Christchurch, East Kent College, and extending as far away as Bromley College, because we have to create something like this in order to make sure that we get the skills coming through, and also to reach to youngsters leaving school and get across the message that there is a career for them and a future for them at this airport. A huge amount of work has been done, and you will see when our responses are published that we've actually now produced a draft Section 106 agreement, the famous Section 106 agreement of the past you all remember, about hours of operation and so on. This Section 106 agreement will also contain very specific obligations as regards training, education and recruitment. It will also include an obligation, where it's lawful, to recruit locally as much as possible and not recruit outside the area. That's important to us as well, and we'll make sure that is complied with. These are a way in which we can put into writing the things that people have heard us say, and there are some who will always say, oh yeah, they'll all say that. And of course it makes common sense. Why would we want to import thousands of workers from North Kent or Sussex and then have to build a huge car park for them to park their cars in when they come to work if we can hire as many people as we possibly can locally? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make business sense anyway. So I wanted to just make that point to you. And then finally, I think to say, as far as the DCO is concerned, the process is moving forward well, and for us, the 15th of February is another important date, moving on to the 22nd of March. And I think all we'd like you to do is to keep following it. If you have questions, if there are things that don't make sense to you, say so. If there are things we're proposing to do that you're not comfortable with, or you don't understand, please contact us. You know where to find me or my colleagues. We want to start as we go on. And for me, the other sadness is that I attend these meetings regularly, and it's a pleasure, and we're very grateful to you for your support. There are other groups out there who have never extended an invitation to us, political groups, other local groups, people who turn up at DCO hearings and present a view. They have never, ever extended an invitation to us to engage with them and submit ourselves to questions, which I think is well sad. That's really all I want to say, but I'm around if you have any